Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to Out of the Park Baseball, episode number 5 with the Portland Weirdos, as we continue on with our early phase of our complete rebuild of what was the Oakland Athletics, the worst team in baseball. Now sitting at 22 and 32, let's get an update on how the All-Star ballots look. This, of course, is one little way to measure progress. Are any of the players on the roster getting the attention as one of the best players at their position? That really helps identify the individual basis, right? The record is a great way to measure obvious team success, but what about the individual? For my Mariners, Julio Rodriguez leads the way at center field, but for the Weirdos, we are not even present until we get to Mason Miller. So Miller shows up with, what are his numbers so far? He's 1-1 in 11 games, 56 innings pitched so far, 19 walks, and a 1.93 ERA. Fourth on the list for starting pitchers. That's a pretty decent spot. He's got a good chance of making it in and is literally our only player on the list. For the first time, though, the waiver wire is beginning to get rather busy. These are the guys that were given extra time. It's late May now. I mean, we're, 54 games into the season. It's nearly 2 months, or roughly 2 months into the season. Now you can get that pretty good image on like who's cutting it and who's not. But a lot of 30-somethings, just a couple of 20-somethings. And a lot of these guys are getting paid a little bit too much. They're coming up on arbitration, so I can see where there's conflict here. First off, we are on a super tight budget, so we are not going to be spending $5 to $10 million on a reliever. So you could rule out all three of those. Joey Votto would be a great famous signing, but he's also 40 now. So I think we're down to Rengifo, Ramirez, and Allen as possible targets. $4.5 million or less for all of them means, okay, there's a chance. Greg Allen coming in at 2 stars and in his 30s, even though he's the more affordable one, is probably going to, we're going to say no. Rengifo or Ramirez are the only possible targets at 2.5 stars. They might offer something to us, and we certainly might be able to afford that type of player. Rengifo's having a terrible season so far for the Angels, but he did hit 264 a year ago. He's only hitting 185 so far this season. Just 1 homer, just 3 RBIs. Not looking good on that part. Meanwhile, Harold Ramirez, strong contact numbers, fairly good defense. He's got okay power. 3.8 million. He was hitting 300 last year for Tampa. He's 248 this year. Sure, he's struggling, but for us, that might be a big pickup right there. That's the one we're looking at right now, I think, mostly. But let's go ahead and make sure we rule out Rengifo and his struggles before we take a deep look at Ramirez. For one thing, OSA and our scouting department, neither one of them have a terribly clear look at the second baseman there. 3 years as a pro, and coming into an arbitration year, can play second or third. Would kind of rule him out as short, especially when you need a strong glove there. And really not much of a defensive player either. Geloff hitting 282 and definitely one of our better players. Second would not be a good fit for him, but what about third? We have 3 third basemen still on the roster, but of course, as we get guys back healthy again, something's got to give with one of those, as it is already, being a bit of a struggle. Andahar is struggling. Baez is doing okay. Andahar's only a 2-star guy. Toro's only a 2-star guy. And actually, for that matter, so is Scouting accuracy is low on both accounts, but it's almost identical between us and the OSA. Better defender, better first baseman, better second baseman, better third baseman for that matter, better shortstop for that matter. So he's better at any infield position. Houston, and then with our club for the last couple of years. Hitting's definitely not great, but I think he's given a little bit more defensively than he is offensively. But is, shockingly, that's our $8 million guy. And he's 33. I think that's somebody you very much want to get rid of. And even though he might be capable of playing a lot of positions, a 60 and 55, where the other guy's 55s across the board, is not exactly a massive step up. It's very minor. He's got a 70 for first base rating, 60 on second, 55 on those others. I'm not terribly impressed by Diaz, but expiring contract this year will very much let him go. Can we get something back in a trade, potentially? Does somebody think they could use him? Well, with a decision not yet made on what to do with Rengifo, let's go ahead and start looking at Harold Ramirez, who is a much more solid contact, reliable hitter on that front. He's going to have a much better on base. Not exactly a power hitter in any sort of meaningful way, but lacking pace, lacking positional coverage. This is more of a DH kind of guy. Armenteros is our current left fielder, and yeah, much stronger defense. You would want him there. Noda at first base, not a great defender, and not exactly hitting the ball terribly well either. It's Noda who's actually been playing as the DH. Rooker, gosh, neither one of them. Kind of thinking take on both players and bump somebody. Alright, so we've dropped a claim on both players. I'll have some decisions to make. There's some obvious pieces that just don't give you much. And there's an $8 million man that I'd be happy to dump if possible. Okay, well, we've picked up Harold Ramirez. That's one. Alright, first decision's a pretty damn easy one. Steven Piscotty is our backup outfielder right now, and we've brought in a guy who, at least on paper, is a left fielder. Already 33 years of age and low salary. I don't even care if he doesn't have options. I would be more than happy to throw him onto the waiver wire. For one thing, only a right fielder. Not a terribly good defensive one. Awful offensive option. Guy's hitting 140 this season, and his slugging's only 256. So even though he's got a small amount of power, like he's not giving us anything noteworthy. In 49 plate appearances, just 6 hits, couple doubles and a homer. So yeah, he's gonna go for more than one base half the time, but not good numbers. 0 speed. I'm surprised he has that much range if he's got 25 speed, but sure. He does have option years left, so we'll see about sending him down to AAA. Rengifo has also, the next day, cleared waivers and joining our club, so we've got another decision make on him. I think the overabundance of third baseman is where we want to start with that one. And Andahar does have one option year left, and hitting 185 and not helping us defensively other than having a good arm. Okay, well, that's 2 moves in place, but that does increase our salary. We have a certain third baseman making $8 million. That isn't doing anything particularly useful, so I think it's time to shop him, even if it's for nothing but prospects in return. So the options coming back trying to shop Diaz out are not good. We're looking at, he's a bad contract. Here's contracts that are worse. Kyle Freeland, 1.5-star guy, but making $15 million with 4 years left. Who was the idiot that offered that contract out? Suarez, a reliever, 3 stars. I mean, it would be a slight upgrade in quality, but $10 million and 4 years left. That's a worry. Is this somebody who's going to give you enough in return to justify hanging on to? Well, for us, that's increasing the salary, so that's really not good. I think we're going to have to package something around Diaz and shop the package, see if we can't get something. But right now, at least he alone is not drumming up any interest. No prospect packages, no multiplayer packages, so we need to offer something additional. I doubt Piscotty's going to drum up much interest, but let's give it a shot. So I've had to get fairly creative to try to do something to see if there's interest. I'm already multiple days into this project. So Diaz plus Ryan Noda. Noda, he is making minimum. He's not bad, but I'm trying to use him to help drum up interest. Not strong enough defensively. I think we could afford to move on from him. Last year was his first year as a pro. Hit 229. Then I went ahead and did the allow AI to include additional players from your team for a prospect package, because the single player one was just bringing back overpaid veterans. So to try to get prospects, well, the offers coming back in initially don't look very good. Victor Vargas, some potential, but then they want Armenteros. Armenteros is one we want to hang on to. Pirates want Armenteros. San Diego wants Armenteros. St. Louis have the best offer, best potential, and instead of Armenteros, they want Brent Rooker. Now the problem here is that guts us at first base. Takes both of our options away. They also want us to include cash. However, if we're eliminating $8.5 million and only having to give out 2.3, $6 million in savings, but we're losing, well, 3 weak players from our roster, freeing up an opportunity to bring some younger guys in. I don't think we're going to find a better option than this. I really don't. So we're going to go ahead and take a look here at least first. But I think I'm going to take this one on. Liberatore, multi-year pro, actually. He's down in AAA now, so he's already been bumped down. But 2.84 ERA in 3 games. That's not bad numbers. What saw him get bumped down? Not good enough? 2.5-star kind of territory. Injury proneness is normal. This hurts, but this clears up some serious salary for us. And it's not like we need to be winning games this year. Complete the move. All right, there's our big salary dump. Promoting internally, our new first baseman is going to be Armando Alvarez. He's currently at AAA, the only first baseman at AAA, and actually an easy choice because he looks decent. 29 years of age, has good contact power numbers. Nothing great, nothing spectacular, nothing better than what we have on the roster, but he's okay as a first baseman and can play some ball. So we'll give him a chance to come up. losing both of our first basemen wasn't ideal, but getting the salary dump was big and required some amount of sacrifice. He's been at AAA for, well, really like 4 years now. He's been at AAA waiting for his opportunity. Now that automatically fills one spot on our roster. There's still two available. I'm not going to fill them in. For one thing, Seth Brown is just 3 days left, and maybe I'm going to bring Seth Brown over automatically to help the manager make that decision. Seth Brown will be available in just a few days. I'm going to let him choose what to do with the final roster spot. Let the manager fill that on his own. As we're still a little bit on the bloated side, I mean, there's still a good 20 players or so that we're going to want to offload. I might need to get back into that project and start trying to swap out the worst prospects. There's still quite a few of them, like down here, the lower rookie ball level, and a little bit left here in the regular standard rookie league. That's the international one. As for A, yeah, see, there's a bit there too. So we certainly have some players that we can. Another player available on the waiver wire who is not a bad player. Has okay pace. Is a fairly decent outfielder. Best at center, but passable at left and right, and could definitely be much better at left or right eventually. Batting ratings aren't amazing, but they're a little bit better than what we have on average with our roster. Currently with Cleveland, only hitting .215 this season. Hit .230 last year with the Yankees. And that was kind of where he really started to make his breakthrough. Just had a handful of plate appearances the year before. Still just 26 years of age, so very young. And making that league minimum. Currently at 24 and 37. Our percentage has dropped just a little bit from where it was. We're half game behind Detroit. We're 4 games behind Baltimore, and still the worst in the American League, where the Yankees have the best record right now. Nobody is exceptional on their win-loss record. Meanwhile, in the National League, Atlanta is tearing it up, and they're not even number one. The Dodgers at 41-20 have the best record in baseball. Miami is half game better off than we are. Colorado has the worst record, so we have the second worst record right now, but it's also very close to a number of other teams. As we've forced some change upon our manager, I wanted to kind of see how we compare, and the Mariners are favored at literally every matchup, every position. So yeah, it's quite clear just how far we have to go with this roster. But at least for today's lineup, we have Geloff ahead of Ruiz. Rengifo comes in at third. So apparently that one was a good pickup and worthwhile. Seth Brown came off the disabled list just after the big trades that we made, and he comes into the heart of the lineup at fourth. And Harold Ramirez comes in at fifth. The manager likes the players that we have brought in. 3, 4, 5. Brown had not played an at-bat this season. We didn't bring him in. He came off the injured list from an injury late last season. But Toro, another replacement who is not getting much time. He was already on the roster, but he was getting very few at-bats. He gets a start today at third base, hitting sixth. Meanwhile, young Langoliers looking good, playing well right now. He's on fire. Mateo and Allen rounding out the lineup. Geloff playing DH instead of getting the start at second base. So I think we've made some progress. Actually, it looks like, at least to an extent, the lineup's better than it was. Sears is going to start on the mound today. Decent whip, right about a 1.2. Decent ERA at a 4. Nothing too bad, and considering how our team is, you'd take that. But Castillo, 4-star guy, and Taylor and Rodriguez, and they've got the advantage at every single matchup. All right, we are home for this one. We'll get the action going right away with runners in scoring position as our option here in the early days. Top of the first. And we've already got the leadoff hitter, Taylor, on second base. A double to open the action. Grounder. Runner will advance. 2 out now. We got a man on third base. That one's popped foul. Will it stay in? It does. Catch made. Get out of the inning with a runner stranded at third base. And we too are able to make some solid progress in this one. 1 out, 1 on, and that's Ruiz with his tremendous stealing ability. There's arguments being made that he can eclipse also fellow A's player Ricky Henderson for the record for stolen bases. Phenomenal base runner and great speed. Could we risk sending him to third base? I don't know about that, but let's see what Rengifo can do. The batter we brought in. He's going to drive that one, but it's jammed a little bit on the barrel and ends up being a pretty easy pop out. Seth Brown, another new face, and he's going to strike out. We get out of the first with no production, but both teams have already had a runner in scoring position in just 1 inning. Top of the second, not going much better for us. Ty France and Yoris at second and third. Crawford at the plate. Only 1 out. And he's going to drive that hard deep to right field down the line. 3-run shot. And we are in big trouble now because we're not the kind of team that's going to score 3 runs a game. It's only the second, and we're already in heaps of trouble. Sears off to a poor start here. And still, next runner, Grossman hits a double, and we're right back in trouble. And a walk. Setting up the double play, but we got a pitcher who might not even make it out of the second inning at this rate. Caught looking on that one for strike 3. And can we get out of this without any more damage? It looks like we will. And there you go. End of the inning, but the damage is still pretty severe with 3 runs across the plate for Seattle in the second. And as we jump to the bottom of the third, Mateo, another fantastic speed, very good steal ability, stands on second base with nobody out with Nick Allen at the plate. He's going to strike out, though. Now the top of the order for Geloff. He's going to drive that deep to left center, but the center fielder, Julio Rodriguez has the range to get over, dive for that one, makes a catch, and all of a sudden, just like that, we've got 2 outs. And this one's going to hang up there long enough to have the catch be made, and that's it. Top of the fourth, Urias already at second, Crawford at the plate, and still nobody out. Let's get out of this inning. I don't want to see the ugliness as another run scores. And yeah, this game's getting ugly real fast. 5-0 as we enter the bottom of the 5th. Still just 3 hits. Our team is bad. 2 more runs in the top of the 6th. Still haven't gotten past 3 hits. Finally, the 7th goes quiet. And we've had a solo shot. Here in the bottom of the 7th. But if Allen's at, I was quick play, tell runner in scoring position. So we get a solo shot, just our 4th hit of the game. And so at least we're not going home completely empty-handed in this one. 3 more runs in the 8th. It's 10-1. Absolutely getting hammered here. And the game's going to end just like that. 10-1 final score. Ugliness ensues. Just more. Yes, it was Mateo. Just obvious confirmation. What we all know. Just how bad we are. Ruiz with 2 more stolen bases, 20 on the season now. He did miss some time due to an injury. Got a little bit behind on that number for this particular season. Quick update on our scouting. If you remember, I wanted to make sure that we are fully prepared for the draft. Therefore, I took 200 plus draftable athletes that looked like they had some potential and wanted to make sure I had full scouting reports on all of them. There are now just 3 left. And we have then gotten into the other options, some free agents. We're already picking up some scatter reports on some of those too as these last few come through. But we're into that next phase. We're looking at guys that are going to be on our roster, guys that are on other rosters, potential trade partners that I've been asking for over time, but there's been a lot of hurry up and wait for all of that, as I made a pretty big ordeal that's taking, a good month to complete. But we've got to start somewhere. We've got to really start building somewhere, and we need a good draft. We need a very good draft, and we need to bring in a lot of potential talent through that. Before we get too late into the season, I got to make sure that I start negotiating some contracts for players, especially now that we have some scouting available. I'm going to take all of these top guys in terms of the best prospects that have expiring contracts and start looking at them. Liberatore has joined us. I missed the message for that one. It's time to get him signed before our chance on that expires. Taking a look at our roster and seeing what's going to give. I mean, we're 2.5-star guys throughout the pitching staff. We've got to bring them into major league level. Unfortunately, scouting accuracy is fairly low on a lot of these guys right now. As I said, we're just starting to move into that next phase. Miller obviously is great. Alex Wood has done really well. The only pitcher who seems to be struggling is, Sears and Blackburn a little bit, but no one's doing terrible amongst our starters. As for our relievers, I'd say the guy that's probably having the hardest time is Beto. Second highest ERA, but in the long reliever position. So usage is amongst the least, other than your key guys to bring in late game. And we actually have higher scouting on him than others. Yeah, a whip of nearly 2. That's too high. He was with Pittsburgh last year with numbers that really didn't look much better than what we have here. Assuming he's still got options. In fact, he's got all 3 options. So yes, we're going to go ahead and send Beto down to AAA. So up to this point for this season, we've brought in 4 players now off the waiver wire. And we've already seen that 3 of them have gone right into the heart of our lineup, being significant upgrades. We've also now offloaded 1 overpaid veteran. We had to offload a couple not overpaid veterans with him to make that happen. But we got it done. We got him out. We cleared some money. We retained a couple million of that, but otherwise we cleared up most of those finances to make way for those guys that we brought in, really. The 4 guys that we've brought in. I think it's been a good trade-off. It's made us better. And in reality, it seems like we are, because for one thing, the percentage is back up into the neighborhood it was. We're only 12 games under, 26 and 38. We're not playing 500 ball, but we're definitely playing better than the team had been playing for a while. We're starting to find a little bit of a groove with this group. Less and less of this kind of mess at the bottom. We've cleared out a few of these positions. So Allen, Andahar, who I called back up, and it looks like he's only had maybe 1 game since getting called back up. But we had that empty spot, so I went ahead and brought him along. But Toro's the one who's been playing instead here of late, and yeah, his game numbers went up quite a bit. He was in the teens, now at 33, but his average is definitely looking better than Andahar. Mateo, Pozo, it's your backup catcher. Apparently not our starting center fielder, though he has started a bit, but maybe somebody else is playing there instead. But anyway, We've got 10 spots on our 40-man roster, so plenty of vacancies there. It means we haven't had to deal too much with releasing guys or dropping them onto the waiver wire or anything like that. Looking pretty good on a number of fronts. Looking terrible on others, but I think we are grinding it out this season and making some slow progress and really setting ourselves up for an effective draft at the very least. Fingers crossed that's going to be a big key for us coming up here soon. That is going to do it for this episode, though. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.